60 days to spring. Not that it's somebody's counting, but they are. If you have your Bibles this morning, we're going to be in Philippians, the first chapter, the third verse. Philippians 1, verse 3. I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you, all making my prayer with joy, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. It is right for me to feel this way about you all, because I hold you in my heart, for you are all partakers with me of grace, both in my imprisonment and in defense and the confirmation of the gospel. For God is my witness, how I yearn for all of you with the affection of Christ Jesus. And it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus, to the glory and the praise of God. Back in the 1970s, when there was a thing called football, where they hit each other and there was no equipment and everything, there was a quarterback by the name of Terry Bradshaw. And Bradshaw had a way of taunting people. He would get hit and he'd jump up and go, "Man, that was a good hit. My mama hit a bit worse than you did." And he would do this all the time. At the end of, in one of the games, one of the guys, defensive ends, decided, we're going to put Terry Bradshaw into the ground. And every time he hit Terry'd get up and say, "Hey, that was a pretty good hit. That's a pretty good hit. You going to try it again? I bet you missed next time." And he'd go through through this whole game taunting that defensive end. It was the fourth quarter, about 5 minutes left. That defensive end came around the corner and just nailed Bradshaw and put him down. And Terry said, "I felt my ribs cave in on me." He goes, "My brain floated out of my skull." He goes, "That was the hit of a lifetime." He said, "But I couldn't let him know he hurt me, so I jumped up and said, 'Hey, my daughter hits me worse than that.'" At the end of the game, they won. And that defensive end came up to Terry and said, "Hey," he goes, "you might have won the game, but I know you're hurting right now." Terry goes, "No, I'm not hurting. I'm not hurting at all." And they waited until the defensive end walked away, and one of his guards grabbed him and said, and picked Terry up a little bit and goes, "Come on, Terry, let's go," and carried him off the field. No matter how hard he was going to get hit, he was going to come up saying, "Hey, that was pretty good, but it'll get better." He was bound and determined not to let that guy know how much pain he inflicted on him. Just smiling, "Hey, that's pretty good. My grandmother hit me worse than that. She's dead." He'd just go on and on and on. Nowadays, it's a little different in football. If you touch the quarterback, you get a 5-yard penalty or something. There's no fun to it anymore. Watch him get hit. But nowadays, things have changed too. I talked to a 35-year-old man the other day and listened to him tell me that nowadays the hardest thing they have at his age is morality. They don't know what is right and what's wrong. They don't know which direction is up and which direction is down. They don't know how to have relationships. They don't know how to communicate. The best way to communicate is on a cell phone, because everybody understands the emojis and all the little dot and dashes and everything. He said, "But we have no idea what morality is. Therefore, we don't know what's right and wrong. We don't know what's good and what's bad. And we don't know when to rejoice and when not to rejoice." Versus years ago, Terry Bradshaw, no matter how hard you hit him, he's going to get up and smile at you. To nowadays, where our kids get hit, they have a hard time getting up and figuring it out. We come to this letter of Philippians, and it's difficult to understand because we're kind of in the same dilemma of the 35-year-olds. Here we are with this old man who's in prison, chained to a guard, that he has to pay the guard. He has to pay for the house. He has to pay for the food. He has to pay everything to be there. besides being chained to this guard, his freedoms are restricted to only that house, and that's where he's got to stay. He's waiting for trial, and they didn't do speedy trials back then. So however long he had to wait is however long he had to pay for everything. This guy has been beaten. This guy has been left for dead. This guy's been shipwrecked. This guy now has some people running around while he's in jail telling people that he's not really an apostle. Everything's going kind of bad, and yet he sits here and writes this letter to a group of people who are going through the same difficulties he's going through, but he starts out with saying, I thank God. In fact, if you go through this book, you'll see the words, I thank God, I'm rejoicing, rejoice with the Lord, be thankful. And yet he's chained to a guard who doesn't want to be standing with him in the first place, probably. He's got people outside while he's in prison talking bad about him. But yet, he writes this group of people who are going through the same thing and rejoicing with him. It's a very, very difficult letter for us to understand because a lot of it is we've never been in that position. We have it pretty easy as Christians in the United States. Up until recently, we've had it pretty easy. We haven't worried about persecution. We haven't been worried about if we can own a business or not. Until recently, that's started to change. But up until then, we've had it pretty simple. Just show up, church, we sing our songs, we do our thing, and we go home. It's pretty simple. So when we look at this letter of this letter of love and rejoicing, how can this guy write it? We kind of scratch our heads at times. How can this guy talk about rejoicing in the Lord when he's sitting in prison with a soldier shackled to him? How can he talk about rejoicing in the Lord when he has to pay that guy, then he has to pay for the house, then he has to pay for the food? How can you do that? We come to scripture, which is right after the salutation, and he starts out by saying some words that go like this. Say, thank my God in all of my remembrance of you. There are 8 characteristics of a mature believer in our text. We're going to look at 4. We'll look at the other 4 tonight. I won't give you all 8. I'll give you 4 of a mature believer. Now, this maturity has come through a lot of heartache. Paul's been beaten, left for dead. He's been kicked out of his family. He's chased by people, put in prison many times. And yet he pens this letter and begins by saying, I am thankful. I am thankful for you. No matter what we go through in life, no matter how difficult it may be, the first sign of a mature Christian is they are thankful no matter the circumstances. And he gives an example. He says, I am thankful. I thank my God. I thank my God. There's this intimacy between him and God. That's why he can say, I thank my God for all of you. I am thankful. I am chained to this guard. I am in a place I don't want to be. Circumstances aren't the way I want them to be, but I am thankful. I thank my God for you. I am thankful. What do we normally do when times get rough? We get mad, we get angry, we get upset, we pout, we go into depression, we have a place on the wall, put head here, we do all this stuff. Blame everybody else, whatever we do. But Paul isn't doing that. He's saying, I am thankful for you. I thank my God for you. Back in the 1980s, in the early 1980s, college had a preaching teaching convention. They asked several churches to sponsor this one. First time they've ever done it. Asked ministers to be up front. Seth Wilson was getting a little bit older, deciding he's going to retire. Very well recognized professor, and he stood up there and he looked at these preachers and he goes, I'm going to not put you on the spot, but I just want to know, are you thankful for your congregations? And he turned around, and all these people were there. All their congregations are there. And some of them ministers went, yeah. Some of them ministers hauled around and went, you next. Paul said, I thank my God for you. The test of both is this. I thank my God for you. You guys. There's sometimes I have no clue where some of you people come from. But I'm grateful for it. You know why? I learn something new every day, don't I, General? He's out. But are we thankful? Are we thankful for the people that are here? Are we thankful for the people that are missing right now that can't be here because of the cold or the weather? Do we let each other know how much we appreciate each other? Do we remind each other how important we are? And do we go before God and remind God of how important each individual is? The mark of a mature believer is they're always thankful. Another mark that he brings up is they're joyful. All of my prayer with joy. Joy is not dependent on what's going on. Joy is a deep-seated pleasure. It's an assurance and it's confidence in God that God's got everything under control, and one can live with a rejoicing heart because He's got it in control. It's based upon what God does and how God maneuvers and how God takes care of us, how God meets our needs and when we don't understand. It's all about our response to Him. It's all about putting our confidence in Him and knowing everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. One of the greatest generals in World War II is Patton. Patton was kind of savory character. He would not mix words. He would make up words. Interesting adjectives to let you know how he thought. But the funny thing about Patton was his men were totally loyal to him. And they had confidence that he would get done what needed to be done. So when he said we're going to pick up and move 600 miles, they picked up and moved 600 miles in 4 days. They had confidence in their leader. Joy is that confidence where we look at God and say, yes, you got everything under control. We're going to live. We have peace because you've got it in control. We are confident you know what you're doing. And we're confident you will give us life. In John 15, verse 11, Jesus says this. As he's getting ready to die, he looks at his disciples and he goes, these things I've spoken to you that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. How can they have joy when they're getting ready to watch the Messiah get crucified? How can Jesus have joy when he's getting ready to be crucified? In Hebrews 12, verse 2, Paul writes these words. He says, hang on, give me a minute. He says, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. For the joy set before him endured the cross. He was joyful. How can you be joyful when you know you're going to die? Because it was God's plan. And he knew that God was in control and God would take care of it. Another mark of a mature Christian is confidence in God's salvation. Believers who know God personally have confidence in God's plan. They know that God's God will do will work. God's work doesn't end until Jesus returns. Here's the one thing that I heard the other day on the radio. Matt Walsh was saying something, and he said, do you know that when you retire, if you get the idea, I'm going to retire, that your body starts to shut down unless you have a wife that keeps you moving 24 hours a day? And he kind of said that jokingly. But that is true. When we say I'm going to retire, our body kind of goes, hey, so I'm going to shut down. Men were built to work. We were built to work to the day we die. That's what we do. We're good at working until the day we die. God works on us until the day it's time for our lives to end. He doesn't stop working on us. He never ceases to work on us. He's constantly working on us. He's constantly showing us his plan. He's constantly reminding us that we can be confident in what he's got going on. What we often do is sit back and go, God, I really don't think you know what you're doing. Do you know what I'm going through? He does. He's lost a son. He's lost people that he loved. He understands that. He understands when you have a friend that betrays you. He understands when things don't go the way you plan. He understands all this. So we have confidence in him because he understands and he adjusts and he'll take care of it. But when we take that out away from God, we say, I don't have confidence in you anymore. I'm going to do it my way. We place ourselves above God. Paul says, I have confidence in God's salvation, that he'll complete the work that's in you. I do too. He's got work going on in me. He's got work going on in his church. We don't see it all the time because sometimes our expectations don't match God's. But when we look at things through God's eyes, sometimes he lets us see. A mature follower of Christ understands that God's still working. They have confidence. In Philippians 4, verse 7, and the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's anything of excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. In other words, don't lose faith. Continually thinking about what God has in store. A mature Christian also has a growing and discerned love. A growing and discerned love. Think of love, we always think of it's coming on Valentine's Day, so you get all the hearts and the warm fuzzies, and I mean, if you go to Walmart, they've got at the end caps, they got all those little fuzzy teddy bears and all that stuff, you know. It's supposed to trigger this thing in you to think warm and fuzzy feelings. When God talks about love in the Bible, it's not warm and fuzzy feelings. That's sometimes triggered, but it's not what he's discussing. When God discusses love in the Bible, it's to know the object and to continually learn about them. It's to never give up looking for their best and promoting their best. I think one of the things that's happened in the church today is that we've stopped looking to promoting God and learning about God and wanting to draw closer to God and giving his best to everybody around us. That's what love does. You don't look and take an account of everything they've done wrong. You look at them and you say, what can I do to make their life better? Love looks at a person and says, I'm going to make your life better. I'm going to get to know you and study you to the point that I will be at one step ahead of you. Several years ago at Harvard University, they brought in people that had been married over 60 years that they said had successful marriages. And they brought in couples, various races, backgrounds, and they set them up on the stage, and the proctor said, I'm going to ask you this question: what has made your marriage so successful? 9 out of the 10 said this: I know what my mate needs before they know it. I meet that need. What? And the question came back, how'd you know? And one lady looked over at her husband. She goes, well, after 40 years, I kind of figured it out. But it took 40 years. And everybody laughed, but everybody agreed. You never stop learning about the person, the object of your love. We never stop learning about God. And the moment you stop, you've died. You never stop learning about God. The first scripture, the first greatest command is love the Lord your God. You always keep searching him out, always looking for him, and love your neighbor as yourself. What we've done today is we said, I'm too busy. I don't have time, or these are my expectations, and sometimes we go with that. We make mistakes. We sin. We repent. We go back and try it again. But we can never stop learning. We can never stop looking at that person and going, what do I need to do? Or looking at God going, God, I want to make you great in my life. I've told this story before, but I like it. It's a good lawyer story. It's the only positive lawyer story I know, outside of the guy that died one day and he called for his lawyer and his doctor. And they came on the day of his death, and he said, I want you to stand on either side of me. And they were standing there, and he held their hands. And finally the lawyer goes, hey, why are we here? He goes, I wanted to feel like Jesus dying between two thieves. Okay? This lady got mad at her husband one day and went to the lawyer and said, hey, I want to divorce my husband, and I want to do it in such a dirty way. And the guy says, okay, you go home, you treat your husband like he's king, learn everything you can about meeting his needs before he knows it, and then after a month, fix him a really nice dinner and slap the divorce papers down and have them ready. You just call me. You can just get it. A month went by, 2 months went by, the lawyer's sitting there at the desk. He saw a note, so he called her up. He said, hey, I got them divorce papers ready. She goes, you can keep them. I found out I really do love that guy. You know what? After about a month, I found out he loved me too. Why? Because love seeks. Love doesn't sit back and go, give me. Love goes, I'll give you. And if you don't believe that, look at the cross. At the cross, God said, I love you, I'll give you. The marks of a growing church, of marks of a mature Christians, are those who pray, those that have their relationship in Christ and with other people. What makes this book so unique is the depth of love and unity these people had, to the point that Paul could talk about anything and feel no repercussions. And he could talk to them about anything because they had nothing major going wrong. They loved each other. They were in unity with each other and unity with God. We're going to sing an invitation hymn this morning. Mainly just because every now and then we need to be reminded that he calls us. So we're going to take this time, we're going to sing this song. We're going to stand as we sing this song. So let's stand. And if you just want to rededicate, or you haven't given your life to Christ, or you want prayer, just come up front. But I'm asking you, as you sing this song, it's Amazing Grace, my chains are gone. Remember the love and the grace God has given.